Hey makeup friends, today we're going to be testing out the new GloWish skin tint from Huda Beauty and see how she holds up on this 41-year-old face. Let's get into it. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. Now is about the time that I would normally tell you what makeup I'm wearing, but I'm going to address it later on in the video, so instead, let's talk about the earrings. Do any of you remember these earrings in specific? I talked about them probably at the end of December. I remember I did a whole earring collection video at that point and then mentioned these and said that I plan to wear them when we have something to celebrate here on my channel, and we do. We have 10,000 things to celebrate here on my channel because there are now 10,000 of you. There's actually slightly more than that because I'm a little late to the game. I had thought about doing a live stream, but honestly, the thought of it just kind of made my butt pucker. I don't know what it is. I used to really enjoy doing lives, and then I got really nervous doing them, and now they just it just stresses me out. So I will probably do one at some point, but I'll probably make Barrie do it with me because I'm just a big baby and that's the way it goes. At any rate, here we are, 10,000 subscribers. What? That is incredible. Thank you all so much. I know I get super mushy. I know I've been mushy before in recent videos saying how much I love you guys, but it bears repeating. I truly love you guys. I truly value you guys, and I really appreciate that you just accept me for who I am. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for that because I am who I am. When I created this channel, I specifically decided that I was not going to create some sort of online persona. It was just going to be me. Warts and all. I don't actually have warts, but that's a saying. I hope people know that. Maybe I'm belying my age by saying that saying, but at any rate, it just kind of means flaws and all, right? There it is. Definitely a flawed human being. Just that flaw isn't warts. Not that there's anything wrong with warts. I'm talking a lot about warts for somebody who doesn't have them. Anyways, the whole point of this is for me to just say thank you and to wear the celebratory earrings because damn it, this is worthy of celebration. Now that we've done that, let's move on to this foundation, shall we? And see just what is going on with GloWish. All right, let's get into this. So I do have my moisturizer, all of that on, but I am going to add a primer just basically out of habit, to be honest. But when I try out foundations, I don't like to use primers that mattify my skin or add a lot of glow to it. I just want one that acts more like a moisturizer, really. I just want a little bit extra hydration on my skin, but I don't want it to alter the appearance of the foundation. So the one that I'm going to use is from Dior. This is the Backstage Primer, and it does just what it is that I'm looking for. Just adds a little bit of hydration to the skin, but really doesn't blur anything out, doesn't add any radiance, nothing like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this one. Now, while the primer is sinking into my skin, I'm going to hop over to the Sephora website and just read what the claims on this product are. So it says that it is a liquid formula, fragrance-free, it offers light coverage, it's vegan, and it has a radiant finish, which frankly, I'm not surprised by given the name. It says, well, it's either GloWish or Glow-ish. I'm guessing GloWish, but we will find out. So it says that it's a fragrance-free light coverage skin tint foundation that instantly brightens with near neutral undertones and leaves skin with a dewy finish. It has plant-derived squalene, which hydrates the skin and is a natural antioxidant. It has Damascus rose oil to soothe, clarify, and lock in moisture, and red bell pepper extract. I have literally never heard of red bell pepper extract, but nonetheless, apparently that's in here. And it protects skin against the effects of digital pollution. For example, blue light. It's available in 13 shades, and the shade that I picked up is 02 Fair Light, and that is described as being for fair light skin tones with gold undertones. So I'm not fair, I am light skinned. My MAC shade is NC20, so I do have golden undertones in my skin, and I really wasn't sure which shade to pick because shade 2 is fair light, as I just described, but shade 3 is light. but it's described as having peachy undertones. And then from there, we're on to light medium. So I opted for fair light because I wanted to match the undertone more so than like the depth of the shade, because I find that I can, with bronzers and things of that sort, I can deepen up a foundation if it's a little bit too light. But if it's too pink, there's not an awful lot I can do with that. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a good shade match. It doesn't look like it's going to be like too light. Like it doesn't look wildly light for my skin, but we will find out if the fair light is too light or not as soon as we put it on. So why don't we just step right into that? So we'll take a look at the packaging. It looks like a squeeze tube, but when you take it off, there is a pump there. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work once we get down to the bottom, but if I'm being perfectly honest, I very rarely ever complete a foundation, so I don't know if that's ever actually going to be a problem that I face. And I'm just noticing on here it says Multidew skin tint, Multidew. What the hell does that mean, Multidew? There is nothing on the Sephora website to talk about it being what the hell is Multidew? The last little bit of information before we move on is that this does retail for $40, and it is a little bit larger than your standard foundation. Typically you get 30 mils of product or 1 fluid ounce. This one has 40 milliliters of product, which is 1.35 ounces. So let's get into this. I am going to apply it using, on one side of my face, a flat top kabuki from Sigma. This is the F80. And then on the other side, I'm going to try a sponge, and I could not begin to even hazard a guess as to where that sponge came from. So let's go ahead and try this out. Now, just for a little bit of information on my skin, I am 41 years old, so I do have fine lines creeping in there. My skin type is fairly normal and it's not particularly sensitive. So I don't deal with a lot of redness. I don't have very reactive skin. It's not very dry. It's not very oily. It just kind of sits right in the middle there. And I'm kind of lucky in that regard, I think. But also it just kind of means that when I'm doing foundation reviews, it has to be particularly outstanding for me to get super excited about the product, because I'm not looking for super coverage. I'm not looking for something that really cancels out discoloration. I just want it to wear well and feel good on my skin. That's my primary concern. And holy crap, she's glowy. She's super glowy. Also, it's hard to tell under these lights, but I think it might actually be a little bit deep, to be honest. Just a hair. That's kind of crazy to me because this is fair light. I thought if anything it was going to be too light. I think it's totally workable, but that was just one pump. If I went in to try to build up the coverage a bit, I think that this would be really deep on my skin. Huh. I mean, I look very tanned, but my God, she's glowy. Maybe that's what the Multidew thing was. We'll see if it dries down a little bit, but shit. Holy, she's glowy. All right, well, let's see how we get on with a sponge. So for that, I'm just gonna put it on the back of my hand. Again, just one pump of it. It is definitely fragrance free. I don't smell anything at all. No, I don't smell anything at all with that. So let's just go ahead and dot it around my face a little bit. Let's go ahead and bouncy, 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 bouncy. I can't use a sponge and not say that, which is probably one of the reasons why I don't use sponges all the time. I frankly just think they're way too labor intensive. And I've never really seen much of a dramatic difference between using a brush and using a sponge. I don't know. Holy shit, this is glowy. I prefer a more natural finish. I will say that. If you like a radiant finish, GloWish has got you covered, that's for sure. I see no difference between a sponge and a brush. I literally see no difference. Am I supposed to see a difference? I'm just gonna putter for a few minutes, maybe do my brows, maybe do some concealer, and then I will come back and we will talk about this situation. I lied. I did a little bit more than just brows and concealer. I did do those. So for concealer, I used another product from Huda Beauty. This is the Overachiever Concealer, and I have it in some weird ass name, Cotton Candy. What kind of shade name is that for concealer? When I think cotton candy, I think like pink and blue, but no, apparently beige. Anyways, I used that one. I actually do like the concealer. I just think the shade name's kind of weird, but whatever. And then on my eyes, I also have a Huda Beauty palette. This is the Mercury Retrograde palette. And on my lips, another Huda Beauty product. This one is one of the cream lipsticks in the shade Angel. Okay, it has been 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes, close to 25. I don't like this foundation so far. Gotta say, has not dried down. I'm fully aware of it on my skin. It's still quite tacky, and I can just like, I can feel it as my face is moving around. So I definitely want to go in and set it down with a powder because I can't handle that level of stickiness. Like, and if, here, let's do it this way. Let's just try it with the phone. So that's what it looks like. Oh, turn off. Come on. I don't want you on. And then if I just like pretend that I'm talking, which this almost never happens because I hate talking on the phone, but if I did, this is what I would do. And then, it's not terrible, but there is definitely transfer going on. You can see it there on the screen. And so I really just want to set it with powder. I really do. I'm just gonna flip to the magnified side. Yeah, it's like, it's not in the corners of my nose. It's not like creasing up. Well, a tiny bit in the fine lines up here. I'm gonna come in as close as I can. Hi. Okay, I'm gonna turn the lights down as well. I do have two little side lights on, but I don't really think that they're actually hitting me. So let's see if we can, it feels wet, I don't like it. Okay, so you can see where the fine lines are. Like I'm using fine kind of tongue-in-cheek here. Anyways, I don't know, because I can't see it on the monitor, but it is pooling a little bit into those creases. Ew, it feels so greasy. I don't like that. Okay, I think we've established that I don't like weird textures, and I don't like the way that this is feeling on my skin. I feel like I'm not, but I feel sweaty. Like it feels wet. I don't like that. Now, let's go ahead and set it with some powder. So I do have the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder here. So I'm just gonna tap into the, we'll do the oxidization test in just a second. So I'm not picking up like a huge amount, but enough to hopefully just take that tackiness away. Like that feels better already. It doesn't take a lot of powder, but I will not go a whole day with this without setting it because I can't handle that feeling at all. I am going to apply some bronzer and blush and highlight, all that kind of stuff off camera. I'm going to wear this. Now, I'm having a very late start to my day. It is 4 p.m. I think a very late start to my day, but I'm also a night owl. So I think I can get a solid 8 hours of wear out of this and then come back and do a check-in around midnight. So that's what I'm going to do. I just want to put it to the test, see how it wears throughout the rest of today. But on initial impression, I just don't like the way it feels. It feels very heavy, and it's a skin tint. It shouldn't feel heavy, but it feels that way. So we'll see. I'm kind of guarded in my opinion at this point, but this is a first impression, so we shall see. But I keep forgetting the oxidization test, so let's go ahead and do that. Bearing in mind, it is going to look different because it is fresh application and it hasn't had an opportunity to die down, but I'm really just looking at the actual color of it, not the finish. It's going to be shinier on fresh application because it's wetter, but there is definitely some deepening of the shade as it dries down. So you can see there's the fresh application, and this is the one that has dried down for about half an hour at this point. Again, ignore the difference in terms of like how shiny that fresh application is, but you can see that it does deepen a little bit as it dries down. So just be aware of that. Granted, I'm in artificial light, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to really tell. I don't think it's dried down to the point where it like is completely contrasting with my actual skin tone. So even though it was kind of riding the line and a little bit deep to begin with, it hasn't like taken it to like a medium depth or anything of that sort. So I don't think the oxidization is terrible. It is still like yellowy in terms of the color and the undertone. Undertone, right? I just about said understory. That's not even a word. What the hell? Anyways, all that to say, it will deepen a little bit, but it's going to stay in that proper undertone family. So take that for what it's worth. At any rate, I'm going to go now, finish up the rest of my makeup, and then I will check in at the end of the day. I will see you then. Now that I have applied the bronzer, blush, all that, I've filmed my intro, done my thumbnail pictures, I thought, why not just sit down and do some recommendations on different skin tints now, and then we'll just save the check-in for the very end. So that's what we're gonna do. I have 4 other skin tints to talk about with you, so let's just dive right in. This one here is from The Ordinary. It's not branded as a skin tint, but it is so very lightweight that I think it classifies. So this is the Serum foundation, and it says it has a lightweight serum formula. I have it in the shade 1.2 YG. It retails for about $6.70 Canadian, and you are getting 30 milliliters of product in here. So getting a little bit less product, but you're also paying a lot less than you are for the Huda. And this wears so nicely. It is the most liquidy of the skin tints that I have to talk about today. But even at that, it still does even out my skin tone. I think you could build it up maybe just a shade below or a hair below medium coverage. And I don't think you're ever really going to get super amounts of coverage out of this, but it does even everything out. Sort of gives you that like perfected look without it looking like you're wearing makeup. And you really can't feel this one on the skin because it is so incredibly lightweight. So this is one that I prefer the feeling of it over the Huda. Now another foundation that is incredibly lightweight is this one here from Makeup Forever. This is the Watertone foundation, and it's called the Skin Perfecting Fresh Foundation. I think, again, because it is so very lightweight and offers light coverage, that it would really classify as a skin tint. This one you're also getting 40 milliliters of product, and for that you're paying $50. So a little bit more than the Huda, but honestly, at least on first application, this one just feels so much nicer on the skin. Again, you are getting a little pump with it, and it's just a very easy wearing foundation. It has a very natural finish on the skin, not too glowy, certainly not matte, but just looks like your skin just enhanced. It's just sort of kicked up a notch. This one, I'd say that you can build it up to a medium coverage, but I don't think anything beyond that you're really going to be able to get out of this, which for me is fine, but I just want to raise that point. Basically, anytime you're dealing with skin tint type products, you're not going to get full coverage out of it. That's sort of the trade-off. But for me, this one just feels like nothing on the skin, to be honest. It applies so nicely, blends out beautifully, wears really well throughout the day. You really can't see much in the way of obvious signs of wear over the course of the day. And it doesn't have that feeling on the skin where I just want to wash my face. Like, if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm already there. I haven't even had this on for an hour, and I'm just aware of it, and I don't like being aware of my foundation. So I don't have great expectations for how it's going to wear throughout the day. We will see. But even if it wears really nicely, I still prefer the feeling of this one on the skin to the Huda. Another one that is comparable to the Makeup Forever is the one from Fenty, and this is the Easy Drop Skin Tint. For this one, you're getting a very specific 32 milliliters, and it costs $39 Canadian. I think this one is just slightly more heavyweight than the Watertone, but because the Watertone is so light, this one's still light. I'm not trying to say that it's like thick at all. It is not. It is beautiful on the skin. Again, it just gives that like my skin but better kind of finish where it hasn't really added much in the way of coverage, but just sort of evens everything out and takes away some of the minor blemishes that I have. And again, it has that very natural finish on the skin where it doesn't look absurdly glowy or like matte in a mask-like way. It's just my skin, but better. I love this one as well. Now, the last one that I want to recommend to you is this one here from Urban Decay, and this is the Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. It says medium coverage and up to 24-hour wear. That name has a lot of words in it. Okay, so I have it in the shade 30 Light. This says that it's a tinted glow hydrator with medium coverage. I disagree. So it's hydrating in the sense that it's not drying, but I don't really feel any massive effects with it. Again, I don't have particularly dry skin, so again, it would have to be like above and beyond for me to really notice it. So people who have dry skin, if you have tried this one and you do notice it to be particularly hydrating, please put a comment down below so that other people can see that as well. But for me, it's just a standard makeup product and I don't really notice any like moisturizing effect from it. Now it also says that this is a glow hydrator, and I really don't think that it's particularly glowy. It is certainly nowhere near the Huda. This one is like next level amounts of radiance. This one, again, it just looks very natural on the skin. I'm trying to remember, I wore it just a couple of days ago, and I'm trying to remember what the finish of it on the skin really was, but it just kind of looks like my skin. Like if it was particularly glowy, I would remember. Like I'm going to remember that this Huda one is like, you can see me from space, basically. This one, it just looks like my skin. So there's that. Now, finally, it says that it has medium coverage. Yeah, it does, but you're going to have to build up to that. It starts off more lightweight and light coverage, and then you can build it up very easily to a medium coverage, but I wouldn't say that straight out of the tube on the first go round that you're going to get a full medium level of coverage out of it. Now, the last claim on that, the name alone, is 24-hour wear, and I would say I've never tested it to 24 hours. I don't think I've ever worn makeup for like a full 24 hours unless I've forgotten to wash it off at the end of the night, but like I never do that. Never. Anyways, this one does wear very nicely throughout the day. In fact, all four that I'm talking about, I think it's because they are so lightweight and because they do offer sort of light, sort of buildable coverage. You don't really notice the wear as obviously as you would with like a full coverage where it starts to break up or it starts pooling in certain areas on the face. I don't really notice that with this at all. So I think all four of these are really great recommendations if you're in the market for a skin tint type product. Just right now, as I'm sitting here, I'm not feeling great about this GloWish skin tint. I'll put it that way. At any rate, we're going to see how it looks about 8 hours from now, so I will see you then. All right, it is time for our check-in. I didn't quite make it to the 8-hour mark, but we're pretty darned close to it. So we're at about 7.5 hours here. And what I can say, I've got my magnified mirror right in front of me, and I'm taking a look, just looking at like the major sort of planes of the face, if you will, like my cheeks and whatnot. It's all looking good there. I will say that. It is definitely still a glowy finish. I'm not seeing any like major signs of separation, anything of that sort. It hasn't clung to any particular areas. There's a little bit of wear showing around sort of this area of my face that's very common from like wiping my nose, wiping my mouth as I eat, things like that. So what I can say is that for the majority, we're doing okay. Then we look at the forehead. So there are little lines here, but they look very exaggerated compared to what they normally look like. And again, those little creases across my forehead, I am seeing product pooled up in those lines. And further, when I look over in this area here, it seems to be accentuating like the pores that are there. And that's typically not an issue that I deal with. Like I don't tend to have enlarged pores or anything like that. So when foundation does that, it kind of bothers me. Also, I'm not wild on just how glowy it is. I'm feeling shiny and I'm feeling not great about that. So I am going to come in closer and I'm going to turn the light down. I don't have any side lights on, but here we are. I wasn't able to give you any sort of daylight, like natural light, because we actually had a tornado here today. That was very scary. We have not suffered any damage, but we do have friends whose home was destroyed. Not destroyed completely, but like their roof is gone. They weren't injured. Their pets are fine. So that's all very well and good. But it was basically like nighttime outside. Like it was so dark with the storms and everything. And it's been a bit of a scary day. But at any rate, all that to say, I'm relying on a ring light. So here is what I'm talking about with the face. Like there's a little bit of wear around the mouth. I get that all the time. But like the cheeks are looking good. It's holding up. I'm cool with that. But the forehead, first of all, I still just don't like the feel of it. But I'll like try to gently pull it down. Like here's those lines that I'm talking about. Like they're very accentuated with this product on there. And then it's hard for me to look in the viewfinder because I do have the ring light. And even though it's like at its lowest, it's still just like it's like night blindness basically. So I'm trying at any rate, I just don't like it. And then over here is where I'm talking about, like it just kind of accentuates the pores that I have. And I don't love that. Now, okay, 1 second, I'm gonna back up again. Now I've said this in previous foundation reviews and I'm likely to continue saying it because I think it bears repeating. When I'm looking in the magnified side of the mirror, obviously I'm magnified. That's the whole point. When I flip it to the regular side and just look at myself from a normal distance, I'd say the mirror's, I don't know, 1.5 feet away from me, I don't see that pore accentuation. I don't really, like if I move those little wrinkles down, I don't see what's sitting inside of the little lines on my face, right? So from a normal distance, nobody's gonna be like, wow, you've been wearing your foundation all day, haven't you? Yeah, like nobody's gonna do that. But I still like, ultimately it's the feel for me. I just don't like the way that this one feels. It's not the worst foundation I've ever worn. I will absolutely give it that. It is most definitely not a bad foundation, but my own personal preferences, I prefer something that's more lightweight or something that dries down more quickly and more thoroughly than what this one does. Overall, I think I'd give this like a 5 out of 10. Like it's not bad. There are definitely some good things to it, right? Like it's fragrance free. It does blend out nicely. It does provide nice light medium coverage. There's all of that. Those are all good things. But for me personally, I don't like the amount of glow. I certainly don't like the feel on it, and I hate that it doesn't dry down completely. So there's definitely some pros and definitely some cons. It's going to come down to you and what your preferences are. But for me, this is one that I would say there are better on the market. At any rate, those are my thoughts on the GloWish from Huda Beauty, such as they are. And I thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.